Extraction stations.
Bonne chance à tous.
encountered. Cruiser destroyed! destroyed an enemy battleship.
Our team has taken the lead.